Congressman and former moderate Republican Governor Charlie Crist won the Democratic primary to challenge mini-Trump and Top Gun cosplay Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, of course, last week, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell conceded that Republicans may fail to gain control of the chamber due to candidate quality issues. And last night, one of his current flock, Senator Marco Rubio, saw his worst nightmare come true as Congresswoman Val Demings sailed to victory in the Florida Democratic primary over 3 opponents to take on Lil Marco in November. Joining me now is Jamie Harrison, chair of the Democratic National Committee. And Jamie, if I can get my words out today, I'm flubbing them all over the place. Talk to me about the message last night, because the Ryan win seemed to be particularly salient. He beat Molinaro, who is a much better known politician. What does it say to you?
Joy, last night's election showed that across the country, voters are excited to defeat these extreme Republicans who are running for Congress. These are folks who don't believe in choice, who don't believe in reproductive freedom, who don't believe in voting rights, who hell, are against prescription drugs and helping veterans. They are extreme in every measure, and these elections have shown, the last 5 since the Dobbs decision, including what happened in Kansas, are showing that people are fed up, they're tired of it, and they're pushing back, and they're not going to be silent anymore.
Do you feel like Republicans have sort of misread the landscape? Because, I mean, they're still talking about crime and inflation. Gas prices have been down for, like 60 some odd days. Mitch McConnell today went out and just assailed President Biden for forgiving student loans, which young voters really like. Are they just misreading the landscape?
They are misreading the landscape, and Democrats are doing something that, Joy, that we don't always do well, which is we are defining the Republicans for their extremism, but we are also out there selling about the issues, how we have delivered. Just look at Joe Biden on the student loan. Not only did he deliver on his campaign promise, he over-delivered in terms of what he's doing for the Pell Grant program and those folks who receive Pell Grants. And this is just one of so many things, the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS Act, the PACT Act, Violence Against Women Act. We can go on and on and on how Democrats, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, have delivered in these 2 years with a 50-50 Senate, mind you, and that's on a good day, and almost less than 5-seat majority in the House.
I saw that shade. Listen, you come from a state that got written off for many a decade by Democrats in terms of their spending. Florida is one that, you and I know each other, so I've been very dubious about my former home state, Florida. But should we be rethinking the possibilities of the statewide candidates, Val Demings and Charlie Crist in Florida?
Well, I've been telling folks from the beginning. I remember talking to Val about whether or not she was going to run for governor or run for the United States Senate. Val Demings is the real deal, folks. And we need to double down and do all that we can to help her and Charlie beat back against Rubio. Think about Rubio, DeSantis, and Scott. That is like the triumvirate of despair. And we got to help Florida out. All across the country, we need to do everything that we can to help Florida out, because Val Demings and Charlie Crist will be one heck of an upgrade.
The triumvirate of despair. See, my words are all flub. Your words are on point tonight. DNC Chair Jamie Harrison, thank you very much. He came to talk tonight. Let's bring in Congresswoman Val Demings, the Democratic nominee for United States Senate in Florida, after her big primary victory yesterday. And I still call you Congresswoman. And, listen, congratulations last night. What do you think that the message that voters are sending in choosing you, in choosing Charlie Crist out of the pack of, candidates that were in each of your races? What message are you hearing in these elections?
Well, Joy, it's great to be back with you. And look, I could listen to our chairman, Jamie Harrison, all night when he's talking the talk that he's talking tonight. But look, we won the primary, a 4-way primary, with 84+% of the vote. I think the voters in Florida sent a strong message that they want someone who is going to fight for them. We are fighting, as my friend and former colleague John Lewis said, for the very soul of our nation. When people think it's okay to just take away a woman's constitutional rights, who's next? And so Florida voters want a fighter. They're sick and tired of the same old politicians with the same old tired talking points, talking about what they're going to do, but leaving the majority of Florida voters out. So we're excited about last night, but we're more excited about what's going to happen in November.
So we know that the abortion issue has changed the entire game plan. It's changed the entire game plan for Democrats. It's changed the game in our current politics. How is that issue, do you think, going to resonate in Florida? Because I know from personal experience how difficult it is to rouse Florida voters sometimes, even in places like Broward County, where I used to live. It's a struggle. How do you actually motivate voters of color, younger voters? Is that the issue that's going to get them to actually turn out and vote?
You know, Joy, look, Florida's my home state. I was born and raised here, had opportunities to live other places, never wanted to. I wanted to stay and make Florida the state that I know it can be. I think Congressman-elect Ryan said it best. He said that choice and freedom were on the ballot. And guess what? Choice and freedom, in his words, won last night. As I traveled the state from the Panhandle down to the Keys in red and blue counties, I hear, of course, the voters talk about inflation. Of course, they talk about the price of gas and goods and services, but they always talk about constitutional rights and the what's next. And I think Justice Thomas clearly telegraphed, yeah, it's women's rights now. And people may think, well, that's not their issue, but what's next? Is it equality? Is it voting rights? Is it contraceptives? What's next? And people are scared and worried about that. And yes, it is a top issue. And look, with Charlie, Chris, and me, we are here to fight for the right to choose. We're not going back. This is a fight that we're well up for.
Okay, I need to play a clip from the Monday night show. Your name came up, as did a very, very important and very wonderful celebrity, but I want to play it. This was Fernand Amandi, who we both know quite well. Here's Fernand and what he had to say about you guys.
Val Demings is like Pam Grier, you know, going up against little Marco. You know, you're going to mess with that chick. She's got to come over and kick your you-know-what. And Rubio is scared. That's why you see the whiny little emails.
Okay, so surprise to the viewers and also potentially to the wonderful Val Demings. Joining me now is the great Pam Grier, Foxy Brown herself in the house. I can't even, Jackie Brown, Foxy Brown. I mean, come on. Hey, Pam Grier.
Oh, congratulations, Congresswoman Val Demings. I'm so excited for you. Thank you for having me on, Joy, to join. Just throw me in the fray. Thank you.
Listen, I love everything about you except that you went to East High School, because, you know, I went to Montbello in Denver, so we can talk about that later. But listen, tell me, from your point of view, because the people in your position, Ms. Grier, are always important in elections because you all are motivators. People who are famous, celebrities, you guys are voices that people, sometimes they won't listen to a person on TV, they may not listen to a politician, but they will listen to you all. For you, what do you think are the most important issues that people should pay attention to in these elections coming up, particularly in this Florida election?
Most people want employment. They want to feel uplifted. They want to feel like they count, they matter. And with the Democrats, we have been studying what's the electronic movement, such as the ICE, the conversion, gasoline engines to EV. I mean, you can convert your hoopty into an EV for $3,000 to $5,000 because most people cannot afford the trickle down to $60,000, $100,000 EVs, but 100 million people can. If you do that for them, now we've got an IPO that could be the Starbucks of conversion garages, which will create employment, create your own batteries, USA made, proud. And then we have the water making machines. We're losing our water. It's getting hot out there. And pretty soon they won't be able to grow our crops. So you have your water making machines for every home in America. They do it on the bases over in Iraq and Afghanistan. They have these containers that freeze the coils, blow warm air, creates condensation, water for the troops. Why don't we have water making machines in our homes so we don't tax the water that they grow our food with? And the solar movement. So the solar movement, the EV, the conversion garages, we're now creating employment. Pride, priority, USA made. That's what people want to feel like they're a part of the solution, not a part of the problems.
Well, I want to go to you, Congresswoman, because here's the thing, is that, you know, for younger people, between student loan debt and climate, which I think, you know, what Pam Grier is talking about, those are really important issues to young voters. What can be offered? I mean, Florida is the sunshine state. You would think that Florida would be top of, you know, would be sort of out ahead in terms of green energy.
Those are really the priorities. And look, Joy, as you well know, we just passed the Inflation Reduction Act, lowering the cost of prescription drugs, lowering the cost of health care. But it is the most aggressive, historic piece of legislation to deal with climate change. We know our young voters care about that, just like as Ms. Grier indicated, they care about entrepreneurship. But think about the millions of jobs will be created just through our efforts to protect our environment. But look, my opponent, Marco Rubio, voted against the Inflation Reduction Bill. Couldn't give a win to Democrats or this administration. But let me say this. Marco Rubio sent out an email saying his campaign was a disaster. I don't agree with him on much, but I agree with him on that.
He needed money. He's a bit desperate for money, isn't it? I mean, he beg for it. Pam Grier, I have to ask you this. How do we motivate? I mean, young people, I think, are fired up because particularly the Roe v. Wade issue, the issue of abortion has gotten people to focus. But what else would you say to people who say, I don't know if my vote counts?
They have a future. It's not the end of the world. Tomorrow is going to come. It always has come. And there's one thing that we can count on is nothing lasts forever, but we all move on. Our life moves on. And those people think of the future. Look at all that they've created. We have cell phones. We never thought we'd have cell phones. We have cars that drive themselves. We never thought of that. We have innovation. These kids, they've been playing Zoom and Google, playing games and stuff. They're very creative. They've learned from us, and they have to feel that they have a future. That's a dystopia. When you don't have hope, you're going to have depression. You're going to have an entire community of tribal, dysphoria, just discourse. So we really need to sit with them and say, we can do this. Come to the table. We have to. If we don't, we drink water. We don't drink oil.
Yeah,
we flush with water. We don't flush with oil. We have to stay grounded where we've come from and where we're going, or we can't move forward.
Well, Pam Grier, thank you for being here and surprising the wonderful Val Demings. We appreciate you both, Congresswoman Val Demings. Congratulations. Best of luck in your race. Thank you both for being here. Okay, up next on